Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'm not having a good time. Found the back.
Yeah. What's your name? She's good.
If you want to grab another cup of whatever you're drinking, and a donut or some fruit and get your place, we're going to start here in a second. I want to point out something. Over on this kiosk over here, this stand is the moving of the plantation house from Skull Creek Drive back in the 80s to this location. A lot of you may not know that. And one of the topics today is going to be to talk about the plantation house. So that was actually moved on a trailer down Seaboard Drive back in the 80s to this location.
It was a big house, not as big as this.
Yeah.
But also.
All right, my official handheld computer says it's 10 o'clock, so we're going to get started. I appreciate you being here on time. Any newbies here? First time? Fantastic. You are in for a rollicking. If you don't know, I'm Peter. I don't make the coffee. I'm the general manager of Coconut Plantation. I've had the privilege of having that job now for almost 25 years. So it's been a long time. I am going to go over the items on the handout. I'm not going to touch base on every one of them. So if I skip over something you want me to talk about or pay attention to, please jump right in there. We want to acknowledge the folks who are watching via Zoom. I've been given a stage to stay on. I have two marks that I have to stay in between. I have a few introductions to make before we get started. Where's Carlton Dallas? Carlton Dallas, our board president and also a member of the school board. One to the left of us, our VP, Ms. Martin. All the way in the back, the nominating committee and strategic planning. Lori Schmidt, our treasurer, finance committee, Ed Shotland, who's Ed. Ed, the recreation committee. I didn't see Jordan or Rex come in. If I missed them? I know that Keith is here. Keith Scheibel, who's in charge of security committee. Mike Harris, maintenance committee. David Barnum, communications committee. Did I miss a board member? No, good. Todd Lindstrom, our assistant GM. Kevin Stein, our tennis professional. Eddie Hearn, who's the second assistant to Chrissy. Jen Westerfeld is the first assistant to Chrissy. And Chrissy is there. She needs no assistant, but she gets a lot of assistance. I am the first assistant. Is Michelle here?
Yep.
Yeah. Michelle was in the back of the call. Michelle Chisholm, our ARB administrator. Pippi Itcore is our communications person who's in charge of Zoom. This is being live streamed via Zoom, by the way. If you missed that comment. Is Vanessa here? No. Willette Lee, she is our community relations specialist. She'll be sending you a letter if you're still flying a Harris or a Trump flag in your yard. So it's time to take them down. We give you 30 days before, Willette, and 10 days after. Yep. So it needs to come down. Did I miss any? I know I have Warren introduced. Did I miss any other staff members? Okay. Warren, come on over here for a second. He doesn't know I'm gonna do that.
That's what he wants you to do.
Now, and you might note that he's wearing a Kevlar vest. Warren started and took that plantation a couple months before I arrived in 2000. Warren was here about 1999. Came out of the Marine Corps, served in the Marine Corps all over the world, and retired from the Marine Corps, a sergeant and an MP. And sometime during 2025, and I'm going to try to drag it out as long as possible, Warren may retire. His wife has a different opinion of that, obviously. So I'm going to try and convince him to stay on as long as possible. Obviously, we're looking internally for someone to move up, or from the outside. We'll see. But Warren has been here longer than I have. He served his country for how many years? Warren, 22 years in the Marine Corps. Now, I'm sure once I get back to the office, I am going to get chastised by him for doing it. Thank you, Mike. This is Warren Gaither, our Director of Security. And someone who probably doesn't need an introduction, Tamika Busby just walked into the house. He was like Elvis. And Dr. Rodriguez, our superintendent, we're honored to have you. We're going to introduce Dr. Rodriguez later. And Dr. You'll introduce your staff later on. Terrific. Okay. Again, I'm going to try and go fast because I want to give Dr. Rodriguez much time. But again, if you want me to talk about something, please stop me and talk about it. And Vicky does all these wonderful things here that, look at that. Yeah. And she doesn't lose her touch. Capital transfer fee. This is the 0.25%. We are at 627,000. This is better at this time than it was last year, even though the housing market is cooled a little bit. It hasn't cooled here. You put a house in the market that's decent, it goes very, very quickly. You're going to have new note cards. I don't know if we're going to have them by Christmas, but I know we want to move the old ones out. But we had a contest. I know you were aware of that. Plantation living advertising. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. US 278. The referendum failed. So there was $90 million in that for the bridge project. They need to find that $90 million somewhere. So stay tuned. Yeah. Because that's going to be a concern. Okay, Recreation Committee has forwarded a recommendation to the board to make this building the next capital project. And the recommendation is to authorize staff to hire a land planner, an architect, and an engineer to figure out whether it's best to gut it and rebuild it or tear it down completely and start anew. That's going to be the first step in the process. So the board has not approved that yet. That'll be under consideration at their next board meeting. Okay, and next coffee is in February next year, and we'll have the candidates formed at that time. We're going to do another announcement board. If you come into the POA Service Center, there's two little mini announcement boards on either side. We're going to put one over here at the plantation house as well. If you look at advertising and plantation living, you can see increase, and that is due to a couple of reasons. Pippi being an excellent salesperson, and also, and you've seen this. I don't have to tell you. The demise of the local print media. I mean, now if you want the island packet, it gets mailed to you a couple of days a week, and the other times it's online. And their advertising is, virtually non-existent. So if you're a local vendor, they know they can reach over 4,000 homes right here. So we're doing very, very well. Okay, many of you asked me about the women's bathroom, getting down and dirty over at Spring Lake. It's been repaired and painted. I think the final coat is on there. We have a big band concert, which is always really great for Christmas. Pool's closed, we know that. I don't think you want to be there right now. Boom. Hay rides sold out already.
Wow.
Gone. So I think there's a wait list they may be taking. If you have a grandchild or a child, we do a Christmas party on December 15th, which is really cool. Camera system at the gates. We talked about this several times and I've talked about it in my column. It's being installed now. It's not fully operational, but we're going through the process. We hope to have it up and running early next year, totally. We also have several cameras down at Spring Lake that we're activating, and Warren and the security office can watch from the office, and they can also watch it around their cell phone. So it's really, really neat, and it's high-tech stuff. This is the one where you put in, white male in t-shirts and shorts, and it'll instantly give you every white male in the t-shirt and shorts that went through the gate. And within a time frame that you did it, it'll pick out license plates. It'll do all of that. If remember, back in February, we had that gentleman who was unfortunately killed in a hit and run accident. And Warren sat for what, 13 hours, Warren? Looking at every frame of video that we had to identify the car that came through the gate. And he did it. But this, all you have to put in, we knew it was a white Toyota. All you have to do is put in white Toyota and all the white Toyotas will pop up. So it's really, really cool.
Terrifying.
Acoustic panels. Somebody in here gave you jazz about acoustic panels. Are they here now? Yes, sir. I ordered 25 more.
Oh, awesome.
Now, that's it. After that, it's going to look like a rubber room. So, after that, we either have to turn the volume up or we have to accommodate in some other way because it's really detracts from the architecture. And when we do this building, I've already talked to potential architects. They need to take into consideration the acoustics of the building. I know they love the high ceilings and the vault and everything else, but that particular building, there's no carpet, it's all glass, it reverberates, and that's just a fact of life. So those panels should be in, hopefully sometime after Thanksgiving. Volunteers already took their stuff. They should be decorating the place for the holidays. Trevor has been given permission to explore a grant from the USDA to tennis organization to put lights on a couple of tennis courts. Don't know if we'll get it. Don't know if it'll happen. Once we get it, we'll have to figure it out. But just so you know that we're exploring that opportunity. RV boat storage area. Last year for 2023, we did 122,000. We're under 158,000 so far. I think we got 8 spaces, but we'll let it stand up. Roulette took this over, and she just took it over with a passion. And we used to bring in about $80,000, $90,000 in there, and since she took it over, she blasted it. And this all goes to offset your assessments and also pay for the new stuff, the capital improvements we do. So give her a hand. I'm not going to go through all the stats. You can look at that. The board always loves me to put them in there. Picnic shelter, the pool, leisure paths. We're working on it. We're cutting and filling. MHA is doing it. David and I need to go out and we need to look at patchwork. There are a couple of pipe failures that are town projects, and I'm saying this with a straight face. It is the town's obligation to make those repairs. They told us they ran out of money. I'm not kidding. For their fiscal year. Their fiscal year ends June of 2025.
Whoa.
So the alternative is we do it and we seek reimbursement from the town. Now, it's real easy for the town to say that to someone who calls up. There's a process that has to take place. the town needs to give us a scope of work that they approve. Because it's probably going to be over $30,000, I then have to go out and bid it out according to their bidding process publicly in a newspaper for 30 days. Then I have to bring it back, the bid has to be awarded, and the board has to approve letting me spend money with the expectation that we're going to get it back to the town when we build it. So I'm waiting right now for the town to give me a scope of work. So if any of you have a question about that, I know there are a couple like that, but with all the storms that we had over the summer, heavy rain, thank God we didn't have to evacuate, but it taxed a lot of the stormwater systems, and they made a lot of emergency repairs, and they literally ran out of money. All right, be safe over the holidays. If you're partying, please do so responsibly. Designate a driver. Big project next year is the refurbishment of Pine Island. Huge. I mean, that the town has money for it. They will rebuild that beach like you've never seen before, put groins in, and we're talking millions and millions of dollars are going to be invested in that project to benefit the public. And right now we are the public. So stay tuned to that happening.
Is that work different from the previous nourishment? Is that work different than the previous beach nourishment?
Oh, yeah. We were putting Band-Aids on. This is going to extend the beach out. I would say almost a quarter of a mile from the boardwalk out into the water. That's how far out. They're going to put a huge block of sand there, and it's going to be dredged, and they're going to blow it up onto the beach. And that's the way it works. And then we have a permit to do renourishment, sand scraping permit, which I want to use after they do theirs, because once those groins are in, it'll hold the sand for a longer period of time. Our permit is good for 5 years. So we've got plenty of time. Okay. You probably saw that in the front of the presentation that we need you to register for a new process called Engage. And this is a reservation software. It's part of a large software package that will eventually allow you to go in, look at your account, pay your assessment, pay any fees you may have, register for a class, pay for the class, do all those things online. This is the first step. And we need an email address. And I got a couple of people who were offended by the term primary resident. And I apologize. That's exactly what the software says. That's the way it's lined out there. Once the first person has signed up and we get you already registered, you can put as many people in your household in there as you want. But this is going to be baby steps, because we know this is new and it's new to us. So we want to go very, very slowly as we roll this out. But eventually the end goal is going to be our website will be tied to this, our accounting will be tied to it, our recreation will be tied to it, and it'll all be computerized up in the cloud. So God help us.
Will we be able to pay gate fees through that?
Possibly the same thing. Yep. Yep. And Jen and Sean, if you have any problem registering, getting your information, Jen and Sean, pop over here or give them a call and they'll help you out. If they are the techies at this point for that reservation software. Okay, this is all about reserving Dolphin Head and the cost if you're interested. And so far that building is being really, really well utilized. Okay, this is all the Pine Island stuff again. Okay, that's where the line is now. Okay, and that was back in January 1955. That's where it was. You can see how much beach we've lost. And this is just a renourishment. This isn't one of the tennis. All right, if you're new, firearms, in South Carolina, you can strap a gun to your hip and walk around. But you can't walk around on the property with it. If you have a gun, you have an obligation to secure that gun. Do not leave a gun in a car that is unlocked. Make sure it's in the glove box from the trunk, locked. We've been very, very fortunate this year. I don't think we've had a weapon that was stolen. But in years past, we've had folks leave a gun in a car, cars open, kids go in, adults go in, they try car doors, make it easy, and they steal the gun. Don't do that. Alligators, they're here. They're from the north. They're everywhere. We don't cull them, we don't pet them, we don't feed them. But we remove them from every nook and cranny of your home. And I'm not kidding. We take them out of pools on a regular basis. We remove them from garages. We take them out of your front yard. We take them out of your backyard. In one case, we took them out of somebody's laundry room. So, I'm not kidding. They wreak havoc with a wine collection. Restore. The wife thought the husband was playing a trick on her with a blow-up alligator in the laundry room. She went in there and started yelling at him. That alligator started swishing his tail and the wine went everywhere. Got that one too. Who dragged that one out, Mark? Remember?
That's not that Busby.
Was it Busby? Busby, did you do that?
I was fortunately died.
Okay.
That's a good time.
Don't feed them, don't harass them. They're here and they're not going anywhere. If they're aggressive, if you think they're aggressive, call security and they will investigate it. Okay, don't feed them. We've got snakes, alligators, bobcat, coyotes, raccoons, armadillos. They're here too. There's recycling. If you're new at the Dillon Road Convenience Center, you'll need a decal to get in. You get that from the county. Alligators, observe them from a distance and just use common sense. I forgot to introduce Pete Nardi. Where's Pete Nardi? I know Pete was in. There's Pete. Pete, stand up, Pete. He lives in Hilton Head Plantation. He's also the general manager of the DSD that gives you your water and sewer service. So if you run out of water, or if your sewer's blocked up, you get. He'll kill me for that later too.
Yep.
All right, this is compliments of Margie. You know, I always do this from the last time, our last coffee. These were the stats, and you can see we have 1.5 months worth of inventory. What's under contract? What's sold in the past 12 months? And then now, and see, things went up a little bit. You have a little bit more inventory, not much. But Margie's one of our realtors. We always give Margie a plug for all the volunteer time she does. That's all I have. So, anyone have a question? Wow.
Lucky you.
You know, sat there. Oh, one more thing. Trevor, we've done a number of things at the tennis. Any tennis players here? Okay. We had a meeting with the tennis players that was rambunctious at best. And worked out very well. We made some adjustments, but we also learned some things, and Trevor made some adjustments based on that. He has put in new tablets that are checking software. So if you have booked a court, and Trevor, you correct me if I'm saying this wrong, you book a court, you automatically get a code sent to your cell phone with a QR code on it. And when you come in to use that court, you go to one of those tablets, and I think there are going to be 3 at the entrances. You scan it, and it checks you in. So that's going to go live what, January 1? So it's really, really cool. Tennis, ARB, our gate passes, advertising, have all gone up the charts as far as revenue production. I put in September's report. I didn't have October's. We didn't close it out yet. We're running very, very close to 350,000 to the good budget. Now, we're going to spend some money by the end of the year, so that may come down. But all of that additional revenue is the result of just about 4 or 5 different things. Gate passes, new people move in, they want to renovate. As soon as they renovate, that means more people come in the gate, and they pay for a business decal. You want to remodel your home, you go to the ARB, there's a fee for that. Tennis has done wonderfully and is up and is producing revenue. And then Pippi has just done an outstanding job with Plantation Living, bringing revenue that way. And then Roulette with the RV boat storage area. Those sectors just brought us in a tremendous amount of additional revenue. And board usually designates any overage at the end of the year to go into the capital fund, which will fund the next project, which is hopefully this building. So we'll see. All right, with that, yes, sir.
Any thoughts on expanding the bocce ball courts?
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts about expanding bocce ball, but bringing them to reality is another measure. That to me is, and I got to get board approval, is low hanging fruit because it really does not involve permitting or land planning. It's just jackhammering them up, and I think for maybe 30 grand we'd be able to do that. I just need to get permission to do it.
The number of teams have expanded
I know
exponentially.
it's increased. Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell us what you're hearing about the 90 million and how they're gonna replace that, the count? What you're hearing?
Well, it's not me, but there are a couple of choices. They could increase the millage rate and raise your property taxes. I don't think they're gonna do that.
No.
They could go to the federal government on bended knee, and they could go to the state on bended knee. Or they need to come up with some other way of funding. And it's the county, I believe, that needs to come up with the money. And between the state and the feds, they need to figure that out. I haven't talked to anyone at the county in depth about how they're gonna figure that out yet. So stay tuned. Yes.
It'll probably be higher because they're not going out for bids till 2027, 28, and starting construction in 2030.
Yep. No, it's gonna be a while. Okay, and Patsy Bryson, where's Patsy?
I was here.
You're hiding behind the pole. Patsy is one of our council members. I'm sorry I missed you, Patsy, before.
Seriously, I saw her.
Right here.
Until the first.
Is Glenn here?
Yes, sir. They're right there.
Guilty as
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed you, Glenn.
well, I snuck in the back.
Oh, well, you just sneak in the back. I don't know you here. You got Glenn Sanford, who's our retiring council member. And Melinda Tudor will be taking Glenn's place on the day as town hall. And thank you, Glenn, again for your service. And Carlton, would you like to have the honor of introducing Dr. Rodriguez?
Yeah, go ahead. Thank you, Peter. Every time we have a coffee with Peter, we learn what a comedian Peter is, right? A lot of us don't know that Peter has a fantastic sense of humor. I've been very fortunate to work with Superintendent Rodriguez for going on 5+ years now. And he has done a phenomenal job. Just to very briefly put it into context. Remember, we had 2 referenda prior to his arrival here that failed, neither one of which achieved more than 30% approval, positive votes. Since he's been here, we've had 2 referenda. They both have passed with more than 70%. And in this last referendum, every precinct in the county passed it with more than 70%. So he's made a wonderfully positive impact in his review. He has done more than 75 of these type meetings in the last year. So that is a pace that is hard to keep up with, but he has a staff who's sitting on the front row who are as diligent and committed as he is. So I just want to end by saying I am so honored to have him here. with his team. They're gonna stay a little while afterwards and answer questions. I know we very much are close to the school system. And we have Mr. Odding here, who is the person that handles that for Dr. Rodriguez. But I'll refer to Dr. Rodriguez and thank you for coming and thank you for inviting me, Peter.
Good morning, everyone. Morning. Great to be here with you. Looking forward to sharing a little bit with you regarding Beaufort County School District. But before I get started, I'm going to introduce some of my staff members that are here today. So Mr. Robert Odding is our Chief Operations Officer. We have Dr. Celeste Levan, who is our Executive Director with Elementary Education. We have Carol Crutchfield, who works with Mr. Odding, who does a lot of our work around new construction as well, but also with our looking at our projections over the years ahead. We have Dr. Mary Stratos, who is our Chief Instructional Services Officer. And then I have Dr. Candace Reuter here, who is our Chief of Communications for the school. And so there are others that work with us, but this is a team we assembled for our presentation today, and we will gladly tackle any questions that we have at the end, if that's okay with you. And then when it ends, we'll stick around a little while if there's any questions that somebody didn't get to ask, but would like to do so. So here at Beaufort County School District, we're blessed to serve more than 21,000 students in the Beaufort County School District. And those students range from super high academic achieving students, all the way through multilingual learners that are recently arrived and into special education programming for students. And so we have an enormously diverse school system. We serve in those 21,000 students. We're about 58%, a little over 58% students of poverty in the school district. In addition, we serve about 23% multilingual learners. Those are students who are acquiring language. They've recently arrived, and I would say probably within the first 3 to 5 years of being here. And it takes approximately 5 years to master and acquire language. And so, but even though they're working on mastering language, they're required to do all the assessments and everything, just like somebody who's been here their whole life. And so here in Beaufort County, we're proud about the work that we're doing. Want you to know that we have reached the highest score that the school district has received on the English language assessment from the current state assessment that the state has in district history, right? And so then, in addition, we've reached the highest graduation rate at 88.6 that the school district has achieved ever. And more recently, we also have achieved the highest college or career readiness score that the district has achieved at about 82.8, I think it is, percent of our graduates. So we're doing a lot of great work with students. We have a strong focus on student achievement. And it's not just about preparing students for college. Our work is about preparing students for college and providing opportunities for students to go as far as their potential takes them, right? And to that end, we've established a new program that we call BCSD Tides. BCSD Tides is a collaborative partnership with TCL. And what we do through that partnership is we have students that take their coursework through TCL from 9th grade through 12th grade, if they choose to be involved in that program. And what happens is those students can graduate with a high school degree, with a 2-year college degree, potentially with 2 2-year college degrees, associate in arts and associate in science. For students that are ready for that, we have some that are ready for that. So that's one avenue we've recently started. And in addition, we have college programs such as advanced placement courses. Those have been around in schools for for a very long time. We have the International Baccalaureate program right here at Hilton Head High School, which is also another college credit bearing program that exists. We have Cambridge International, which is a variation of International Baccalaureate program. It provides a little more flexibility with its scheduling for students. And so some choose that option in terms of a college bearing program, college credit bearing program. And of course, we have a dual language, which schools have always had. We've expanded some of our dual language to reach into the career world. We have a partnership with USCB here on Hilton Head, which focuses on providing some dual enrollment credit for students in the hospitality industry, interested in the hospitality and tourism industry. So our career and technical education program is the other area we do a lot of focus in terms of student achievement. This is an opportunity for our students to earn industry credentials that if they choose college on their path, fine. They're prepared through all of our other programs. But if they choose to go to career, we have programming that provides them with credentials that they can take right into the workforce and increase their initial income because of the credentials that they have, that they've earned through our program. Okay, so we've expanded that because there's an additional interest these days, and not just these days, but over the last probably 10 years for students that have an interest in going to a career industry related field right away. And so we want to be able to meet that need that exists out there. So we've intentionally developed our career and technical education program. And that's why you see our college or career readiness performance up at a district high of 82.8% of our students achieving that. And what are the kinds of things they can get through that career readiness? Well, for example, one of the things they can get is we have a cybersecurity program. We have a biomedical program. So students that go through that biomedical program, as an example, they can get an industry certification in phlebotomy, right? That they can go right into the workforce and go to work. If they want to pursue a nursing degree, this track provides that opportunity to go right into and shake hands with our postgraduate partners and continue on with their nursing degree through that. But they've got a leg up because they have some industry credentials that prepares them for that. So there's a lot of exciting things that are going on. I can talk forever about each of those programs, and I'm going to give Dr. Stratos the microphone in a little bit and let her talk a little bit more about our career and technical ed. But mention our college for career readiness. So one of the things we know is important is to engage our community and to talk about the great things that are happening in your Beaufort County schools, right? And that's why I hit the ground running and I hit 75 of these types of presentations to inform people. One of the things I'm excited to inform you about today is that I have set our target for our strategic plan for the Beaufort County School District with a bold and audacious goal to achieve over the next 5 years. That bold and audacious goal is to get us to 75% in ELA, 75% in math, and 92% graduation. I just think you got to set that target really high and then do what you can and plug away to get it, right? And so 75, 75, 92. And I am on a mission to get everyone in our community to know and remember 75, 75, 92. Okay? So like I told all of our employees in July at our opening meeting of the school year, if you're walking on Caligny Beach or any of the other beaches around here on Hilton Head, and that beautiful full moon is up there, and you're walking on the beach with a nice romantic stroll with your significant other, when you see that full moon, I want you to see 75. Not to ruin the romantic moment, but it is a moonshot moment for us. Okay? And that is really important. So what's the number?
75, 75, 92.
Thank you very much. I'm gonna ask Carol to come up and talk a little bit about our facilities master.
So one of the things I work on, I'm working on right now. Be all the way over here. I can probably see it better over this way too. Yeah. Oh, camera. Gotcha. Hi, thanks. It's a facilities master plan, and what this is a document that takes a look at the instructional needs of our students and how that affects the programs and the buildings themselves. So it's a holistic look at what we do. So I do the projections for the school. And I look where all the kids live, I'll put them on a map, we look at who goes where, because we have school choice. So students have the opportunity to attend schools outside of their regular attendance zones. So we take a look at that and how that affects what we're doing, how that affects the programs. We look at how we need to change attendance zones. Anytime we build a new school, which we're building new schools, we will have to change attendance zones. So that's one of the things that we look at here. And then we look at how we've involved the community in our planning for facilities, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. We talk about what our needs are for the buildings themselves. We did a facility condition assessment in 22 that took a look at what all our needs were for all of our systems. Electrical systems, mechanical systems, plumbing, and then we look at indoor air quality. What can we do to improve that? We took some steps during COVID, letting more outside air in and using bipolar ionization. So we'll talk about that. And then we look at what our funding is for the next 5 years for capital improvements. What do we need to spend just to maintain some of the systems and the roofs? And then we talk about the bond referendum programs. Mr. Dallas talked about 2 successful. One was in 2019, which we're finishing up a lot of those projects now. And we started on the 2023 bond referendum program. So we'll go into some more details on those. I'm going to start with the you want to do this? You do.
So one of the things that is important in terms of our engagement with the community, because I have to thank our community, right? I mean, really in a big way, I want to thank you because none of this would be possible. Bringing our facilities up to state-of-the-art environment for teaching and learning, none of this would have been possible without the support of our community in both realms. And I have to tell you, it's made a world of difference just in the work that we were able to accomplish in 2019. That's finishing up, as Carol said, but in the work that we're beginning now with the 2023 referendum, it is going to make a huge impact on the teaching and learning environment for students. You know, when you do career and technical education today, it's very different than when we were in school. We might have had a vo-tech class, of course, that we took. It's night and day. So facilities need to adjust in many ways to support that kind of teaching and learning environment that exists. But the Community Project Review Committee in 2019 came together ahead of time to review the school district facilities and work closely with our team at that time in order to identify the needs of buildings and facilities. And you can see there were about $629 million identified needs. And of course, we couldn't tackle that. So we went at a $344 million bond referendum, which passed in 2019. As we got to 2023, we brought another community project review committee together. And that community project review committee essentially reviewed the facility condition assessment reports. They looked at our facilities as well. They heard from staff. They had all sorts of information that they that they utilize. And I know some of you were members of that 23, certainly Community Project Review Committee, and some of you may have been involved in the 2019. But in 2023, when they reviewed, they identified $980 million and prioritized projects, and that ended in a $439 million bond referendum, which our community approved for us to do. And so grateful for that, because it's going to really support our work right here locally. It's a brand new high school, a replacement school there at Hilton Head High School, and so it's a beautiful facility that is going to be in place. And if you've driven by there recently, you can tell we're not messing around, and you have to work right away, right? So Mr. Otting and his team has really done a great job launching into that. But to be honest with you, there's wisdom in the work that our school board did in both the 2019 referendum and 2023 referendum that allows us to get to work right away. And what that is was approving the design work on a few projects ahead of time, so that when the bond referendum would pass, then we could get to work as soon as the dollars started flowing. And so that was really an essential piece to let you see your dollars at work as quickly as possible. When the first referendum was being discussed, and I arrived in July 2019, I told the community during my speaking engagements that if the bond referendum passed, that I would establish a citizen-led oversight committee to review how the district executed on the projects and how we spent the dollars of that referendum. And so when it passed in November, in December, I put a citizen-led oversight committee, citizen-led oversight committee together. We called them the clock, right? And they got to work really in January. They meet monthly, and they report quarterly to the community at Board of Education meetings, right? And what I did was I found individuals around the community that had tremendous expertise in accounting and plant operations and management and contractors that had experience in large scale building and operations, right? One thing about Beaufort County, Hilton Head, Sun City, all around Beaufort County, we have no shortage of tremendous expertise, right? And so it's an opportunity for us to tap into our community to help us do the work that we're doing. And they've done a remarkable job at this. And it's been, I think, an essential part that makes us better, right? And there's an accountability piece that's really important about how you spend the dollars and execute on the project. And so when 23 referendum passed, of course, we have a citizen-led oversight committee that's continuing that work for the 23 referendum as well. So essentially, with referendum process, we assess our facilities. We have a facilities master plan that Carol was talking about. We establish community project review committees to look at the needs and identify those needs. They make a recommendation to me. I take that and I say, there's no way I can go with $900 million forward. And then I say, we have to prioritize this. So I come back to the committee and ask them to prioritize on what they see are the needs with our, they ask us our input and all of that. So we're part of that process with them, and eventually settle on a number that we can get things done. And then the board has to make a decision to move forward, yes or no, with that recommendation that I make to them, which they did. And then, of course, there's a public information and education sessions that go on, which we did around our community. Eventually, in a public vote and establishment of the citizen-led oversight committee. And that's how we do our work around the community.
So we talked about a lot of information. I just want to show you how to get that information. So if you go to our website and click on facilities planning for the future, you'll see circled up there, there's a bond referendum link. Will take you to that information. Facilities master plan link will take you there. Then there's individual sheets on the right, where you can look at each of the bond referendum projects and see what the status is. That will be continuously updated as we move through the timeline for those construction projects. This is a list of what was on the 2023 bond referendum. By far, our biggest project is the Hilton Head High School rebuild. It is under construction. If you drive by there, you'll see things happening. It's exciting over there. Safety and security enhancements, that was a huge part of the 2019 referendum. There's still some things we wanted to continue to keep our students safe. So those are in there as well. Ladies Island Middle School, that is a replacement school for them. That school was built in the 80s and it needs to be redone. So we're replacing that. There's a new elementary pre-K 5 in Bluffton that is now named May River Elementary. It's on the campus of May River High School, and that one should be starting in 26. Okay. New Early Childhood Center in Bluffton that will not only serve early childhood students, pre-K students, but will also serve as a center for screening and providing community services, parent education, some of those other things, because we don't have enough space in the schools in Bluffton to do that there. River Charter School, that is one of our schools. We chartered that one. They're in an old elementary school, which didn't have appropriate gymnasium for the middle school students to be able to do their competitions. So they'll be getting a gym for that. Lots of career and tech renovations and additions at Beaufort High, Bluffton High, and May River. And Dr. Stratus is going to talk a little bit about those. At the district level, there's a technology warehouse imaging center. We're doing some HVAC renovations at several of our schools for that assessment where systems needed improving. A kitchen for our Right Choices program, that is an alternative school. And we need to provide them a kitchen to be able to serve students adequate food. And then additional improvements across the district, some safety and standards, some upgrades to things like furniture, parking lots, sidewalks, driveways at various schools. And then I would like to introduce Dr. Ms. Jones, who is our Chief Instructional Officer, and she's going to talk about her tech programs.
Thanks, Carol.
And thank you. Good morning for this opportunity. So let's take a mind shift. How many of us remember vocational education from high school? But now let's think about the technological changes from the time that we were in high school. Where are we now? That's where we were then. And that is what our career technical education programs actually do for us. We are preparing students, and I may say more than once today, for what's going to happen the day after graduation. That is key. And I want to build at that because it's not only what happens the day after graduation, but are we aligned to what is needed locally for us here in Beaufort County as well as nationally? In other words, we do our work for career technical education aligned to workforce development. We analyze, we do an assessment, and then we actually work very closely with these young people here in the front row, Carolyn and Robert, for the referendum work, facilities work, programmatic design. So it's not that we get an idea, we actually have to operationalize these academic programs in order to be successful with our facilities, your tax dollars, and to give our students, what do we do the day after graduation? Not only is it 75, 75, 92, we want 92% of our students, if not more, of our students to be graduates from our high school, but also career and college ready. So these really quickly academic and technical skills, we're familiar with that. The hard skills that an employer needs, but also what are the soft skills that we need in order that I could be a team member as well as an independent thinker with our employers and actually our local workers. I shared a little bit about college and career readiness, and Dr. Rodriguez was phenomenal sharing with you great news. We are at our highest rate in readiness, and we are surpassing the state. Our next goal is to surpass other states within our region, right? So we have to compare ourselves outside of our circle. And as I shared with you, workforce needs. And in order to meet the federal guidelines for what is Perkins dollars, because we annually complete a grant, it's a Perkins grant, we must align to what is needed within our community and outside. These are some of our programs. This is actually also the region that we do a complete a local analysis. We're required to do this by federal and state law. I'd like to share with you, we have 34 career technical and education pathways that are competitive to any program in our country. I have to share that because I have the opportunity by which that my directors go out to professional development, and while they're out there, they're supposed to spy for me. That's what we're supposed to do. Oh, we didn't know what we did properly. And they come back and they do their job very properly, sharing information with me. So I do need to share that with you. And we are competitive. And I would put up our career technical education programs to anywhere in this country, any large urban setting. This is a key component to share with you as well. And Dr. Rodriguez shared with you, we have career technical education going with USCB here on the island. We have a program directly for the hospitality program. We will start a dual culinary program as well. The building that they have in Bluffton, as well as the new buildings that are putting up in New River campus off of 278. Our teachers prepare our students for the workforce. One of the things that the local Chamber of Commerce has done is collaborate with us. It is the Bluffton and Hilton Head Chamber of Commerce for internships. Our students who meet these certifications, these are industry certifications, are now getting that opportunity to go to internships into the workforce. We have a partnership with the local Chamber of Commerce, as well as we're starting to develop one with the county. So I have to tap that as well. Take a moment for that. I have to highlight. So do any of you know where John Paul II is, the high school? So right before that traffic light, if you make that left, that is where the View for Jasper partnership is. It is a career technical education. I almost said okay, so I'm showing myself about here to you. They are Palmetto Finest. So this is another opportunity for our students here in Beaufort County to go to a direct career technical education program that has been recognized by the state to be the finest in the state. I have to share that it's not an easy opportunity. They went through a rigorous review by other winners, students within the state, as well as state from the Department of Education. The membership of Career Technical Education had to review their application and then on-site review of what we do here in Beaufort County, Palmetto's finest. One last item to share with you as well is for here for Hilton. And as we have a brand new high school being developed, we also have been able to acquire a $14.9 million grant for a feeder program here for our schools that would be focused on academics of our students with the obviously ultimate goal of higher achievement for our students and outcomes. But I wanted to take that moment and tout that as well. So let's see. I'm going to turn this over to the boss.
So one of the things that Dr. Stratos mentioned and spoke about is Luther Jasper Ace. I just want to say, I know she touted it, but I want to tell you, achieving Palmetto's finest is one of the most rigorous things you can do. And they're not only a Palmetto's finest, but they are the first ever career and technical education program in the state of South Carolina to achieve Palmetto's finest. So they're doing remarkable work there and doing a really important piece. So local partnerships are essential, right? Because to achieve 75, 95, 92, we can't do it alone, right? And there are an enormous amount of opportunities for our students within our community, whether it's through internships, whether it's through speakers at our schools, and exposure to real industry work, real college and career readiness, real high academic programming from colleges and universities. All of our partnerships come together to provide our student with a great educational experience. And so we're really proud of what we're doing. We're proud of the work that that is happening, the accomplishments of our students. They're doing some amazing things and I'm grateful for you and our community for the opportunity to lead, but also to work for the children of our school district. So thank you very much. I'm gonna take questions. I might need to borrow his vest. If you have any questions, is it all right to take questions at this time? Yes, sir.
We've heard a lot. First of all, thank you and your staff for coming. We've heard a lot of press about proposals to eliminate the Department of Education at the federal level. What impact will, assuming that happens, what impact will that have on South Carolina and more particularly Butte County schools?
One potentially is maybe fewer unfunded mandates.
Could he repeat the question?
Yes, thank you. So the question was, they've heard a lot in the news about the potential in the future administration to eliminate the Department of Education, right? I think on a local level, I don't think it would impact a flow of dollars to support our students. I think that would probably remain the same, right? It would just be routed differently, because if you remember, prior to 1980, I think it was just prior to 1980, we didn't have a Department of Education. That was established around that time period. Because if you remember, back in 1980, there was a report called The Nation at Risk. Do you remember that? Okay, so as a result of that, I think if I was in high school at that time. If I remember correctly, right, through my studies, right, that was something that sort of came around as a result of a report like a nation. And so essentially, I don't think it's going to shift dollars that we would receive from the federal government, right? If we do, or if we are impacted by that, I don't think it'll be because it's eliminated necessarily. I just think it'll be a decision made to do that, right? A different decision. But, you know, a lot of times you get unfunded mandates, right? You have to do this, but there are no additional dollars that follow that work, right? And so that then comes down to the state level to fund. And then if they don't fund it, because sometimes they have their own unfunded mandates that come our way, right? Then it comes down to the local level, right? And so that is some possibilities that exist. On a broader scale, I think some of the challenge might be able to try to lift all states, because they're not all performing the same, right? And so keeping an eye on that might be different, because it may allow the opportunity for states to kind of just go in different directions. So that's on the surface. I don't think it's going to change our day-to-day work. Our day-to-day work of providing great education for students, preparing them for their future, preparing them for local workforce needs as well. I'm not sure that's going to change at all, because that's our mission. That's what we're doing.
Is that a picture of the new high school?
Is that a picture of the new high school? Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I was gonna ask a question if anybody knew what this was, so thank you for asking that. So yes, this is the proposed new Hilton Head High School. It's under construction right now. The first step is the construction of a 3-story building, which you see is there in the front. I went by it this morning. What you can see are the elevator shafts and the steel going up. So if you get an opportunity to go by there, this will be the end product. This will be a 4.5, 5-year project. So we're in year 1. It's going to take us at least 2 years to build that 3-story building. After that, we will move on to demoing most of the existing high schools. So if you've been to Hilton Head High School, you come in the front door, everything on your right will be gone, everything on the left will remain. So phase 2, after we demo the existing building, will be to build a new cafeteria, kitchen, and the new CTE center, which you see is in the back. CTE, Career and Technical Ed section. So that is what you see in the back. And then there will be a courtyard in between the two new buildings. So it'll be a large green space off the cafeteria, which will be enclosed for safety reasons. And then the rest of that building that remained, which is mostly the athletic area along the old cafeteria, will be converted into new athletic spaces such as wrestling, locker rooms, offices, cheer spaces, things of that nature. And then the arts wing will be renovated. And then the Performing Arts Center will be renovated. So if you see there in the top left, you're familiar with the Performing Arts Center, it will remain, and that's that building. And when I say renovated, outside of Performing Arts Center, everything will be completely gutted. There will just be walls left. And Performing Arts Center is going to get a little lighter renovation than that, but the rest of the existing building will be gutted. Any questions on that project? We're very excited about it. It's the largest project we've ever undertaken, so keep your eye on it and more to come.
Another question for you. You've talked about all these wonderful opportunities for students. What sort of resources go into guidance and counseling to help direct the students?
Yeah, so one of the reasons that you see that increase in the career, in the college or career readiness score that the districts receive is because a few years ago, what we did was we added career development facilitator, which are sort of counselors around career and technical education programming for students, right? So that helps with some of the load for guidance counselors, right? In addition, we have added over time, my time here, we've added additional counselors to meet the needs so that they're not necessarily at 1 to 500 kids, right? We reduced the load significantly on that. I don't know if there was something else other than guidance counselors that you asked. Was there anything else?
No, it was,
Okay.
it was just channeling students to know where they can go.
Yes, and every child receives what we call an IGP, which essentially is their own individual goal plan, which has in there their pathway to graduation. And their counselors meet with them once a year, and they review their IGPs and work through their IGPs from elementary to middle to high school. Yes, sir.
Two-part question. What is the projected enrollment of students in the Beaufort County school system? And the second is, what are the challenges of recruiting new teachers?
Yes, thank you for that. In fact, I'm going to give you a couple of challenges that we have, right? That our enrollment is over 21,000 students in Beaufort County School District.
And that's going up.
It's no, I think it's either flat or down. Some parts of the county are down, right? And some parts are essentially really kind of holding steady. So overall, there may be a little loss now because you have additional charter schools and additional private schools, and there's a variety of options. People want choices, and there's a variety of choices. Right? I believe, and I want us to be your best choice, right? And so we strive to do that with high academic programming for students that are achieving at the highest academic levels, to programs to support those in the middle and those that might struggle, right? And I think we're being very effective around that, and we can deliver for all of those by being very targeted in our approach to each segment of our student body. Challenge you spoke about. One of the major challenges for any school district across America is teacher recruitment and retention. Okay. There's essentially about a 70% reduction in people going into the education profession. Early this month, I met with all the superintendents. We meet once a month, but we had the dean of the College of Education from Clemson, and she shared that statistic. Okay, so we too have challenges recruiting, right? And 2 years ago, the starting compensation for a teacher in Beaufort County was $37,500. Put it in perspective. When I started teaching in 1993, my starting teaching salary was $30,000 in Palm Beach County, Florida. Cost of living is not that radically different from Palm Beach County to Beaufort County. But I can tell you that $7,000 over 29 years doesn't do it. The difference there doesn't do it. Not to make ends meet. So that year we got to work. We ranked 53rd in the state of South Carolina on teacher compensation out of 72 districts. The very next year, we ranked #1. We went from 37,500 to 50,000. Beginning teacher compensation and everybody else along with it. Now, how did we get there? One of the things I did was we looked internally first, and we removed or eliminated some programs that may not have been high return on investment. Okay, and we found 50% of the dollars to make that jump that way. Then we went to county council, who has to approve our budget. And we said, this is what we're trying to accomplish. We found 50%, right? And we are limited by Act 388 in what happens to how high our millage goes. Okay. So staying within our millage that we were allowed to move that year, we had a increase that year in the millage. But county council approved us funding the other 50%. And so in 1 year, we moved from 53 to #1. We remained at #1 and then started a wage war. Other schools, okay? And Charleston, I think last year, they moved forward. I think they're at #1 right now. And I think we sit around #3 right now. But increasing compensation is one way. An additional way is when I got here, the only recognized years of service for a teacher was at 22 or 23 years of service, which means that after your 23rd year, right, you weren't necessarily getting an increase in this. Right. So during my administration, every year we add 1 year. So we're at 28 years of service, right? Okay, and so we're going to get to 30. We have some teachers that teach 4 years, so we're gonna do that because there's an incentive there to sustain and maintain some of your most experienced educators when you do that. The recruitment front, one of the things that we do on that recruitment front is in the state of South Carolina, they produce they don't produce enough teachers for us to meet our needs, right? So we have to go and recruit outside from the state of South Carolina. And my favorite place to recruit is any place that has a blizzard. Really. It's just a great time of year to call them and say, where do I go? Here, right? But we do, we pay attention to those things. We make phone calls, we reach out. We have a team that goes to different universities and recruits. So there's an enormous effort around that. We get a lot from Pennsylvania, a lot from Ohio that come this way. And occasionally you get somebody who comes up with the board. Yes.
Oh. Do you provide in-service courses for your staff so that they can move up and get compensated?
Yes, we do. We provide for a couple of reasons. One of those is also that they have to recertify every 5 years, and they also need a set number of continuing education. So I'll come to you, sir, in 1 second. I wanted to come back to you because you asked a question about challenge. So I gave you one challenge that you asked about. I want to give you another challenge that we're facing, and just the reality that I think everybody, should know, right? After COVID, school districts across the country, right, were impacted the greatest in mathematics, when we're talking academic. In mathematics, math is the area that hammered the most, right? And so, while we have made progress, it's been slow, but so has everybody else, right? But we want to do better than everybody else, right? I'm setting 75, 75, 92. And so that is our steepest climb in mathematics. And to that end, I have set up, I have a couple of individuals that I have brought in to the district office to support from the district office some of the work at schools around improving mathematics. And so there's a focus in that area. We moved up a little bit more this past year than we had been in the past. In the past, it was just like one, it was slow. This time we moved 3, still too slow for me. So we're looking with this emphasis, we're looking for some greater results in the mathematics, because that is a major challenge for school districts across the country.
Let's do one more question.
Sir, you have your hand up.
Members and staff will stay after the answer.
Comment and request. First, 75, 75, 92. We're all quick learners here. Having looked at your process for determining projects that needed to be funded, how to control them when they are funded, getting the referendums passed, did you volunteer to help out Newfork County Council related?
Thank you. We're happy to share with all. Thank you.
Before I let you go, a comment. My first career was a teacher. And my starting salary, 1973, $7,000 a year.
Yeah.
And when I left teaching in 1983, 84, I think I was making $25,000 a year. And I had a summer job, a coaching job to make ends meet. So we've come a long way. One comment, Dr. Rodriguez, myself, I'm an employer, and I would love to have some type of connection with a school system, because I have receptionist jobs. They can't carry a firearm until they're 21, but they certainly can work my gates. So if someone is not college bound, I have multiple jobs, and we are always dying for good employees. So any connection we can make on that, sure.
Okay, just for this real quick, it's really a great point though, because oftentimes you're hired for the hard skills, but you're fired for the soft skills. Yep. And so that is tremendous real preparation for kids and internships, right? So I think we can look at that and work through opportunities for that. The other thing I didn't mention, there's a lot I didn't mention, because there's just a lot that we do provide and serve. But one thing is important for everybody to know. We provide, in terms of the recruitment and retention piece for our teachers, we've been providing since COVID hit, we've been providing childcare for our employees, right? And so they, and it was free of charge. Now that the ESSER dollars went away, right? We have, we're charging about $25 a week in order to kind of break even on that. But if you look at what that would cost you anywhere else, I mean, it's a good deal. And then the other thing, the last thing would be extended learning sites that we have across the county, and we have some here on Hilton Head. We're adding a couple more. Those are for students that may have needed additional support. And after school hours, we've been partnerships like Boys and Girls Club, some ecumenical partners, and our students go there after school. They get snacks, they get a little break, and then they get to work on homework, where they have some support on that homework from retired educators that are hired through our program. And when those ESSER dollars went away, Dr. Stratus and her team got to work and found a group, a community foundation of the Low Country that is footing the bill. It's going to keep it open for about 5 years, and then we'll figure out the next phase of funding around it. Okay, I'll be quiet.
As you can see, we're in very good hands. Tamika Busby asked me to remind you, if you've not filled out an emergency medical card, is it, Tamika? And that's something that goes on your refrigerator, so if, in case there's a medical emergency, we know what you're allergic to.
The emergency information card, so we know who to contact for your household if we have.
If we need to get someone, because you're incapacitated, so make sure you fill that out. Yes, Tamika?
Or not even just incapacitated, but just keep in mind, share.
Loud.
Oh, about an
No.
My God, I have an allergy day. But basically, just kind of, make your neighbors, your friends, and your family aware as to maybe what your contacts are. Keep in mind when you guys are out walking and biking or even driving your cars, emergencies happen. And when we show up, it's our job to try and help you along with Hilton Fire Rescue. And if we don't know who you are because you have no ID on you, time is of essence with your life. Okay, so we don't know how to treat you. We don't know how to reach out to your family members, and it can be a timely thing. So always remember that just because EMS shows up doesn't mean we can treat you the way that you may need to be treated, because we do not know what your health information or a next of kin is. A lot of people don't know it, but on your smartphone, we pretty much know how to activate your emergency. And on your smartphone, if you call your carrier, there's a button you can actually fill in information that lets us know how to get in there, because everybody wants to travel with their phones or with a code. That code can restrict a lot of access if you need help. So always remember that. When you guys are at home, it's the same thing that they were just telling you about. The red and white card, you can pick it up at the POA front desk or at any fire station or headquarters. It is detrimental to all of us that come out to help. It is our line of help for you because that information is vital. So fill it out, update it, help your neighbor, help your friends. And I think the second thing I mentioned was your gate pass. Keep in mind that the POA now has, if you can't access the portal online to do your passes up to 1 day. So when you guys are calling the gates, if things seem a little hectic, 9 times out of 10 on my shift it is. However, if you guys can help us out with just taking the time, implement that to use your 1 to 10 days. Anything after 10 days up to 60 days, you're gonna have to call us. When you call, make sure you know who your guest is. And if you know how to spell your names, try and help us out, because sometimes when they get there, they're confused. So this is a part of the delay. When it comes to our traffic at the gates, a lot of times in the morning we deal with excess traffic because of the bridge. If one pickup happens, traffic is backed up out there. So just be patient with us when y'all see traffic backed up. We're trying to get people in here. Like Peter said, I guess he's working on a way along with the director to try and implement a way that you guys can go online and maybe put in, amount of money that we can just take away when you guys have deliveries, because at the same time, we have to come down or call us. So hopefully in the year ahead, we can make a lot of improvements, and if anybody has any input on anything better.
Well, thank you, Tamika. You bring it all in one breath.
Yeah, really.
And don't forget about the lockbox program. If something happens to you and you're incapacitated, it saves you from us from breaking the door down to get to your house to help you. Dr. Rodriguez, we are in very good hands. Thank you for your staff. See, they're on top of the community. Thank you so much for being here.